We are continuing our coverage of the targeted shooting of two state lawmakers, and this morning we are hearing from a heartbroken family.
A wife, daughter, mother, and sister of former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman lost her life in a tragic shooting over the weekend. Now, what followed was a two-day manhunt for the suspect accused of pulling the trigger.
Her grieving family shared with us what she meant to them.
She had a little tiny wallet in her purse. It just had her ID and a credit card. But tucked in there with that was a prayer to St. Francis of Assisi. Make me a channel of your peace. And it was well worn, and it was in that simple little wallet. It was who she was.
Barrett Leone joins us from the state capitol because, Barrett, we're learning about a candlelight vigil that's set to take place this evening.
Yeah, that is going to happen right here outside the Capitol on the steps, where obviously this growing memorial has been just getting bigger and bigger, all in memory for Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. I want to point out a few things on this growing memorial. Obviously, this massive chalk drawing, love wins. We're seeing flowers, mementos, all sorts of messages to the late lawmaker. And there's also an opportunity. You can see these Post-it notes, I want to point out, with little cups and markers to write your own message. I do want to just read a few. One reading, "A beacon of hope and light in a deeply unjust world, the very embodiment of Minnesota." Another one, thanking her and her family and her staff for sharing her wisdom, her will, and courage. Now, for the first time since this tragedy, we are hearing from Melissa's family. This is their first TV interview. Her parents, her brother, stopped by the Hortman's home last night to pick up clothes for the couple to be buried in. They sat hand in hand as they spoke about the pair.
She treated everyone with respect, even when a number of people have called us that competed against her and just spoke so highly of how she treated them.
It's warming and reaffirming to hear the wonderful things that people say, and we appreciate all of that so much, and the kindness of so many people. But, you know, it will never be the same.
And you can see more of that interview from CBS reporter Lilia Luciano on CBS Mornings. And again, that candlelight vigil is happening here on the Capitol steps. That starts at 8 o'clock. The public is welcome to gather and mourn together. Remember Melissa and Mark Hortman. And they're also asking, organizers are asking folks to bring their own candles and refrain from bringing any signage as well.
You just think about tonight and what it's going to look like. It's going to be filled with so much emotion there.
Yeah, you can only imagine. Barrett Leone live in St. Paul at the state capitol. Barrett, thank you.
Now, there's been a lot of discussion about the suspect, Vance Belter, serving on a state board appointed by Governor Tim Walz.
Now, the governor says he never met him personally. Records show Belter was appointed to a workforce development board in 2019. His expertise was as a general manager at Speedway. He was one of more than 50 appointees, all with backgrounds in different industries.
They're not vetted or reviewed personally by the governor in many cases. This is done, as it should be, by subordinates, who then bring to the governor their recommendations. And this is no different than what we would find in business and industry, where we don't expect the president of most companies to be involved in the hiring for every position.
Appointments are bipartisan citizen volunteers. Belter's last appointment ended in January of 2023. His appointment led to misinformation, in part spread by Republican lawmaker from Utah. We're referring to U.S. Senator Mike Lee, who posted, quote, "Nightmare on Wall Street," linking the governor to the crime, which has been condemned by Minnesota Democrats and Republicans alike, and even led to Senator Tina Smith confronting him in the halls of Congress.
You need to take responsibility and accountability for what you are saying and doing out there in the social media world. And I wanted him to hear that from me directly.
Senator Lee later deleted that post.
Now, after a tragedy like this, it's common for presidents to reach out to other elected officials. But President Donald Trump has said calling Governor Tim Walz, it's not going to happen.
I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling him. Why would I call him? I could call him and say, "Hi, how you doing?" The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a mess. So, I could be nice and call him, but why waste time?
The governor's office gave us this response. Governor Walz wishes that President Trump would be a president for all Americans, but this tragedy isn't about Trump or Walz. It's about the Hortman family, the Hoffman family, and the state of Minnesota. And the governor remains focused on helping all three heal. Now stay with us here on WCCO, both on TV and online, for continuing coverage of the investigation into these attacks.
At 6:07, we are following a developing story in the Iron Range. A shelter-in-place order has been lifted in Chisholm after a shooting. Neighbors late Tuesday night were told to stay in place in their homes and lock their doors. Chisholm is about 77 miles north and west of Duluth. We're still working to get more information, but we do know the BCA was on scene. Our Duluth affiliate is reporting that one person has been shot. No word on their condition. The Chisholm Police Department says everyone connected to the incident has been identified and accounted for. They are not looking for anyone else. Again, we'll provide more updates as they become available.
The University of Minnesota Board of Regents meets today to vote on next year's operating budget. AJ?
Yeah, students may have to pay more for tuition. It all depends on what happens moving forward on the campus and residential status, but tuition could be going up by 7.5%. The proposed increases are intended to balance federal funding cuts to research. Today's meeting is scheduled for 4 p.m.